Okay, and here we go. Yep. Good morning, beloveds. If I don't start talking, it makes this weird staticky noise. And so I start talking, but then I don't know when it actually goes live. So I'm like, which is why I'm awkward. Of course, I'm also just awkward. So, here we are. We saw a hawk today. We went for our bike ride this morning, and when he saw it gliding into a tree, and then I found it in the tree, and so we stopped and took pictures. And then it went down as if it was after something, but it didn't come up with anything. And then it sat in the pine tree. We were hoping it would take off again, but it didn't, and we didn't have all that much time to sit there and wait. So, but hey, hawk, yay! In the neighborhood, it was an urban hawk. So, well, I guess a suburban hawk, not an urban hawk, but, lives in a neighborhood. Okay, we are doing Living the Science of Mind. So, let's do the housekeeping, and then we will get into it, because we got an interesting one today. And all the housekeeping is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email, info@creativelife.org. That will get you on the constant contact email. Why that's important, because constant contact is an email service, okay? So why that's important is you get one email a week. It's a real person doing it. He didn't have time for more than that. Although we do live in hurricane country, and it is hurricane season, so that would be, if something like that happens, that's the only reason you would get another email. And then there are words coming out of my mouth. It's a blind CC, so nobody will see your email. Okay, so it's safe. No, you're not going to end up on anybody else's email because of us. And the hot links are hot. If it says click here now, it'll take you right to the information of the person that can help you get it. Okay, last bit of housekeeping is the social medias. The reason why I talk about this is because we do not monetize the social medias. We're not asking you for money on the social medias, and we're not giving them money because we don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we instead ask you to do is to engage with our pages. Like, subscribe, follow based on which platform you're on, the pages, and then share, comment, and react, I guess, because you can like, love, care on the posts. We would appreciate it. It bumps us in the algorithms. And we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark, depending on which platform you're on. And I am the Running Rev Ryan across all the platforms that I am on. So that is the housekeeping. Okay, let's talk about Living the Science of Mind. This is a collection of essays that were pulled from the at-home Science of Mind course that used to be in the back of the Science of Mind magazine. You can still get it. It's been bound into 6 books, so you can buy like each individual book, or you can buy the set. If you go to the Science of Mind archives, I don't know that they're selling it anymore, but what they do is they have an Amazon link, and if you use their link, then they get some of the money from it. Okay, so totally worth doing. Okay, I think, yeah. Now, I have a pet theory. My pet theory is that the essays in here, because all but 2 of them came out of that. 2 of them are from the estate. But all but 2 of them, people read the textbook, the Science of Mind textbook, and they come to the lectures and they have questions. And so they would write to Ernest, and he would write back, which eventually created the, now he was probably publishing them in the magazine, but then so that's what created the at-home course, and that's where these essays came from. So, all right. So I'm going to put my glasses on, turn my light on, open my little highlighter. He just has this really nice turn. He has this nice way of phrasing things. And like, you want to learn from the master, so I'm highlighting the good stuff. All right. So I told you we had an interesting title today, Psychosomatics and the Infant. Now, I want you to think, when you hear psychosomatics, because that says mind and body, think spiritual psychology. That's what we would call it today. But psychosomatics, mind and body. Because psyche is mind and somatic is body in Greek. Who knew? Or is it Latin? I think it was Greek. He said yesterday. Okay. So, psychosomatics and the infant. This is obviously not a complete treatise on the subject, Many books are available that fully explore the various theories of psychosomatics. In reading these books, note the few fundamental principles underlying most of them. It is the synthesis of ideas we are looking for rather than the more elaborate explanations of any one author. While they are interesting reading, they necessarily constitute only the opinions of the one writing such books. What we are interested in is putting the meaning of all of them together in one concise form. When we do this, we shall discover the thread of consensus which they all hold, which, if you haven't figured out, was Ernest's idea about everything. That's why he read absolutely everything, and he's like, all right, what's the golden thread? What is it that they all have in common? Because that's probably the truth. To begin with, all people are born with a predetermined desire to express life. All right. To come to self-fulfillment through love and accomplishment, and to live creatively. We call this the cosmic urge to express something that seems to be inherent and fundamental in people, in animals, and in all of nature. In reading these books, you will discover two of the basic principles back of the emotional drive, which everyone has, are that the ego must not be rejected and the libido must find an object. Okay? I'm trying to figure out where to... And I want you to think about, so the ego must not be rejected and the libido must find an object. When we say libido, we've conflated the term with sex, okay? It's not just about that. Libido is about, it's the feeling of the sunlight on your skin, it's laughter. It's kind of that, libido is that urge to live, that urge to experience. So when we say libido, don't just think sex. Sex is part of it, but not all of it. Not even a large part of it. Oh, which he's about to explain. By libido, we mean the emotional craving for self-expression, okay? That's what I'm saying. We've just gotten this idea about that libido is sex, and it's not. It's so much more than that. And he says the emotional craving for self-expression. Okay. This is based on the idea of love seeking an object upon which it may lavish its affections, and thus finding fulfillment in the object of its desire. This impulsion seems to be born with life itself, and we are told that from birth, and even prenatally, the infant should be surrounded by an atmosphere of love and attention. Of course, the infant does not reason these things out, it merely feels them. This feeling is born with the infant. It is put there by nature. The infant born into a home where it is unwanted feels an unconscious repulsion, and everything in its life becomes conditioned by this feeling. Often such infants shrink from the very touch of the hand. This is why many hospitals now place the babe beside the mother where she may reach out and touch it. The whole atmosphere of the home should be one of wanting and needing and loving the infant. Otherwise, the emotional reaction of the infant is that it is not wanted, needed, or loved. Its libido, which means its emotional craving for finding a love object, is pushed back into the infant mind, and unconsciously it feels itself to be an alien in its environment. This early conditioning is a great influence throughout its life because these are the first impressions the infant receives. This law of our emotional being, that the ego must not be rejected, is fundamental. Okay. And Ernest does talk a fair amount of the ego because the ego has a job. The ego should never be in the driver's seat, but it has a job and we need to listen to it. And here's the thing. When we go to our ego and say, tell me what you got, it behaves better. When our ego feels seen and heard, it behaves better. Who knew? Ernest, apparently. Okay. If this is true, the infant should be welcomed at the time of birth as though it were a gift from heaven, a gift of God, an offering of love to humanity, the greatest treasure on earth and the hope of the future. The infant should be held not only to its mother's breast, but in its father's arms. I would say just any parent. Yeah. So, and any adult that will love on the infant. Let them all hold it. There is no danger of spoiling the child through love. Quite the reverse. The future of the infant may be wounded without it. What more wonderful concepts can we entertain than that of Jesus, who said, "Suffer the little children and forbid them not to come unto me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven." Which you gotta wonder what "suffer the little children" means. Okay, it is better to have no children than to have those who are unwanted and unloved. Parents assume a tremendous obligation when they permit themselves to have children. From the earliest point of conception, there should be preparation in the parent's mind, an atmosphere of thinking, feeling, and longing for the new birth. There should be definite daily meditations centered around the idea that the child is conceived in love and welcomed with joy. Such daily meditation will relieve tensions and assist nature in making the birth normal, natural, and easy. There must be no confusion or anxiety. Everything should flow along with the calm, delightful expectation of wonderful things that are going to happen. And honestly, there's science behind this. There is good science behind this. When the mother is stressed, then the baby suffers. So there's really good science to what he's talking about here. The mother should feel that she is carrying a divine treasure, the highest gift of life. She should daily sense the formation of this embryo into a perfect being, and always with great tenderness in her heart and mind. The father should have the same mental attitude, for he is a part of the mental and emotional family life, and without him, the child could not be born. Some part of him enters into this birth, since he is an instrument of nature in its accomplishment. The ego must not be rejected, which means this. In the early formative years particularly, the child must feel itself to be part of the family life. This does not mean that the child is to have its way willy-nilly, but it does mean that it is not to be harshly rejected as though it were of no importance. The counsel of children should be sought by parents, that they may feel a community of interest and spirit, for they are working out the family life together. They all are now some part of it. Particularly when another child is born, the older one should feel that they too are playing an important part in the birth. The new babe is not to come take their place in the affections of the parents, but rather that they all may enjoy it together. This is of vital importance. Too often this process is reversed, and the older ones feel something is taking their place. With this inward feeling comes the unconscious sense of antagonism towards the newcomer. All of this, too, must be taken up in quiet meditation, in spiritual unification of the family life. If these two fundamental needs are fulfilled, the child will be conditioned early in life to meet everything that may come up in its experience. This is why people who speak with authority on the subject maintain that these early formative years are of vital importance. To show how true this is, there are cases on record in which an unconscious resentment of the wife to the husband centers in the child, and the babes have been known to suffer with continual diarrhea when this unconscious treatment exists. It is known, too, that in the early life, children often have attacks of asthma in order to gain notice, affection, and the care of parents. Okay. These things are worth your special notice as you read the books on the psychosomatic medicine. We agree thoroughly with the findings of those who are giving their whole endeavor to the subject. We not only agree with them, we will go a step further and introduce the idea of spiritual values. The deep inward feeling that the family is a household of God, a kingdom of heaven on earth, in which the parents are seeking to play the role of the heavenly spirit. How can this take place unless the parents themselves believe there is such a divine presence, unless they believe that all conception is immaculate and that all birth is holy? Wow, did you hear that? He's like, every birth is immaculate. Every birth is holy. All right, Ernest, I'm proud. Psychosomatic medicine is wonderful. What it teaches is of vital importance to all of us. But we should add this other thought. Everyone is in partnership with life, with love, with God, with truth, with beauty. To rear a family without some spiritual concept that is adequate, whatever religious form it may take, is contrary to the first law of our being, which is that we are all rooted in the divine spirit, in perfect life. We are all children of God. Everyone is in partnership with life. Every birth is okay. I mean, for parenting advice, that's really good. Now, I never had children, so I can't speak to that, but I've seen the science because my undergraduate degree is in anthropology. And that's one of those things. It takes a village to raise a child is true. And the more, and I'm going to use air quotes here, family that children have, the better. If you don't live near your family, like I would have loved to have grown up with my cousins, but my dad was in the military, so obviously I didn't. But I do have a good relationship with several of my cousins. If when they need stuff, we drop things and show up for each other. I have an excellent relationship with my brother. Did I always? No. Apparently the story that they told was I was not thrilled when he came home. So my parents said, it's okay. This is just a trial basis. We get to take him home for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, we can take him back. Well, my dad followed up on that. 2 weeks after they brought the baby home, my younger brother, they asked me, he said, okay, well, it's time to take him back to the hospital. And apparently I threw a fit. I was 3.5. So I didn't want to give my brother back. And I still don't want to give my brother back. I love my brother. And the good thing is that my partner and my brother get along really well. They really like each other, which is good. Anytime we've had bumps in our relationship, my brother's like, I don't know whose side to take because she's my sister, but he's my friend. So, so I'm grateful that my parents, while they may not have done everything, that they did do some of that. They did enough of that my brother and I have a really healthy relationship. And I've seen the science. He's on it. And there is good research and documentation showing that when children, when mothers are stressed, children suffer, and that when the family life, it's and family of choice. Like if you don't have actual aunts and uncles, but you have community aunts and uncles, children benefit. And there's good research on, giving them some kind of, I'm not going to say religious upbringing, but spiritual grounding, they do better. So spiritual psychology in children, that was excellent. I never had children, but I'd like to think that if I did, I would have tried to do that. And I know that my partner definitely would have, he would have been all in. So, okay. Well, that is the lesson for today. I'm going to move on. We're going to have another one tomorrow. We're still in the psychosomatics, the doctor, the psychologist, and the metaphysician. So that's what we will tackle tomorrow. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move into the process of my day. So I'm now going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of business day, a you got this day, a enjoy the weather day, whatever it looks like, because we had a brief, brainstorm yesterday. I also have a tree on my house now. So we got to work on that, but it's not a big deal. It's the top of a tree and it's on our garage and there's no damage. At least we don't think so. Yeah, take care of business day, right? Cuddle your fur babies day. Dance in the rain day. Stay out of the thunder and lightning day. Stay out of the sun between 10 and 2 day. Drink plenty of water day. Tell somebody you love them day. A good day. And if that is too much pressure, because occasionally it is, I get it. Simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You're a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion, God in action, a brilliant light, a divine spark, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be. Because the divine knows you to be good. And from there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds. I'm going to go. But before I do that, I'm going to remind you that Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you. I'm going to the gym tomorrow, so maybe 8:45. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. And I will see you next time. Oh, it would help if I hit